What's up, Katie?
Not much. Happy to be here. Happy to be hanging out with you today.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. So today's show is sponsored by eVolt 360 Body Composition Scanner.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you that have not got to experience the awesome machine, we have one at Spartan Smoothies in Rome, Georgia. Come check it out. I know Katie has been using the heck out of it with her clients.
Yeah, I usually like to kickstart my personal training clients with an eVolt scan.
Yeah.
It's a lot better of a tool to use versus the scale when it comes to, like, especially newbies. You know, I need to see the trends because newbies will probably be breaking even right off the rip. So,
yep.
I love using those.
It's just a really cool, like, machine. It don't take long. You just stand on it barefoot and literally takes like 30 seconds. You don't feel anything.
Don't feel anything at all. Maybe just a little bit of coldness on your feet on the scanner, and that's pretty much it. But it's 30 seconds. She puts shoes back on, sit down, and then we talk about it.
Yep.
And I love utilizing it for myself, too, because I've been able to keep up with my own trends and, just make sure my circumstances are the same and I have accurate data to look at least from the trend perspective, because the scale could be, it can get you in your head.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients deal with that, too. So
for sure.
Just a lot better metrics to look at along the way.
Especially if you're like a newbie. Like if you're a newbie and you go from like not doing anything to like all of a sudden kind of doing some things different with your diet and you start working out, like that scale is going to be all over the place the first.
I mean, potentially could even go up a little bit.
Yeah.
Typically what I see is my clients start breaking even, and that's generally where people kind of throw in the towel, is like they're not seeing the progress on the scale. That's why these scanners come in handy so much, is there's so many metrics with your body fat percentage and your muscle mass percentage and all of those things to look at other than just the scale, because newbies can do both simultaneously really easily. So if you go from doing nothing to doing something, strength training, getting your diet in check, if you're breaking even on the scale, I say keep doing what you're doing, because you really should be looking more along the lines of how your clothes are fitting and things like that. But you're building muscle and losing body fat, so you're doing everything right.
I know, man, to be a newbie again.
I know. I envy the newbie.
Yeah, the newbie.
I envy the newbie. Yep, can put on a good bit of muscle mass while losing the body fat, so the shape changes, the recomposition.
Yeah, and then for a person that's maybe been lifting for a while, but you just got some layers of body fat, the cool thing about the machine is you can go into a diet and just make sure you're stripping off body fat, not burning a lot of muscle.
Yes, it gives you your daily calories and macros based on your body type, how you are, your actual body, not just a number that we come up with from some sort of calculation. This is actually your body with your calories.
Yeah. So you'll come check it out. $35, or if you have enough points on the Spartan Rewards, you can redeem it for a free scan. You don't have to make an appointment.
Nope.
Of course, in this podcast episode, I'll drop a link, so you can learn more about it and all that stuff. So, cool. I thought it'd be neat to get in here with Katie and just talk about protein. Like I feel like that's something that people still struggle with.
Yes.
I still hear it like every day.
Well, it's really hard to eat enough protein. So if you're, somebody like me, I'm looking at 150 grams minimal a day. Yeah. So that's a lot of chicken. At some point, you have to supplement it. You have to enjoy what you're eating too. So protein is probably the most important thing. Everything is important when it comes to the macros and the calories, but protein, that's what I tell most of my clients to focus on throughout their journeys, whether they're newbies or they're somebody that's 12 weeks in with me. I say focus on the protein and the calories. Yes. The other macros will kind of fall in line.
Yeah.
So protein is the hardest one. I love carbs. I love fats, cheese, like all those things. Protein seems to be the hardest one for people to get. And there are a lot of tricks that you can do in your daily life to where you just don't even realize you're getting more protein. Just little simple things you can do. Like I hear a lot of people add like vanilla flavored protein to their coffee. Yeah. That's a really easy way to not even realize you're eating more protein. There's in a scoop that's 20 to 25 grams. I don't know about putting a scoop in 8 ounces of coffee, but hey, even
coffee,
every little bit counts.
Yeah. Yes.
Every little bit counts along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as like, trying to determine how much protein you need, that's where the scan can come in handy. But typically, what is your rule of thumb on that? I mean, if you're an active female or male that's lifting some weights, what's the good guidelines on that?
General rule of thumb, just to make it easy for yourself, 1 gram per pound that you weigh. You can overcompensate with protein, so does it require that much? Maybe not, but I would rather overshoot it and know that I'm covered, because there's other metabolic processes you have to go through aside from just building muscle. So just to cover all the bases and to make sure for sure you were checking the box on getting enough protein, I would aim for 1 gram per pound that you weigh or per pound that you would like to weigh. So
exactly.
If you're somebody who wants to lose a good bit of weight, you say you want to weigh, 150 pounds, eat 150 grams of protein per day.
Yeah, I'm glad you emphasized on that, because if you're a bigger person, say 250, 300 plus pounds, I don't necessarily want you eating 300 plus grams of protein per day.
No. So I would say if you're somebody who wants to lose, a good bit of weight, aim for that amount of protein for the amount that you want to weigh. So I want to weigh 150. I'm going to get 150 grams of protein. But just generally aiming for that 1 gram per pound is a good idea. Make it easy for yourself to simplify it.
Yes, and you're right. Protein is not only for just building muscle. There's so many other things when it comes to metabolic, hormones, bone density, skin, hair, nails. It's the most important.
Yes,
macro.
It is the building block for life. Amino acids are the building blocks for life, and protein is made up of amino acids. So it is literally what builds your body, what repairs your body. So you definitely need to get enough protein, especially if you're somebody who strength trains. So if you're in the gym and you're going to be doing all that work, you might as well make it worth it.
Yeah.
Get enough protein for sure. Try to check that box as one of the first priorities is, am I getting enough calories? Am I eating enough protein? If you're checking those 2 boxes with strength training, then you're doing really good.
For sure. And one of the cool things about protein is the thermogenic effect. So for example, protein just in of itself is I call it burn hotter. When you digest it, you're actually going to burn 20 to 30% of its calories just through the digestion process. So protein compared to carbs and fats, when you eat protein, it's like a little miniature you inside running on a treadmill. You're actually going to burn more calories just trying to digest that protein. It's crazy.
Yeah, it takes more energy to break the proteins down to digest them. So I think it's crazy how protein works. But you think about it from that perspective too, muscle, you're going to burn more calories having more muscle on your frame. So same concept for the protein. It takes more to burn that in your digestive system to digest it.
For sure. And I was telling Katie about a study earlier, and I've heard of these studies before, but I printed them off where they've got, you can look these up online, but they gave one group and these are active individuals. These are not sedentary people. These are people that are pretty active, either hitting a steps goal or in the gym, but they purposely gave one group 800 calories surplus for 3 months, and all of it came from protein. And then after 3 months, that group did not put on any additional body fat. The weight on the scale went up a little bit, but they all put on lean body mass.
Yes.
That's crazy, right? So
that is crazy.
So I'm not sitting here saying that calories don't matter. You can just eat your face off in protein and it don't count. But like I was saying earlier, when you focus just on protein, there's a less likely chance it's going to get stored as body fat because of that thermogenic effect.
We're just saying, if you're going to ruin your calorie deficit, do it with some sources of protein.
Yes, for sure. It's going to just burn hotter. It's like inside, your metabolism's like a little burning a bonfire. Mm-hmm. And when you eat protein, especially good sources, and we'll get into that in a second. I think Katie's got a list. It's like putting jet fuel or pouring a cup of gasoline on that bonfire. Your metabolism every time you eat protein. So.
Yes, that's why people with more muscle mass can eat more calories. Their body just burns more.
For sure, yeah, and that's what I told somebody the other day, because I'm getting to the point where I don't even want to post everything that I eat, because it kind of sends mixed signals. And I got to forget. I can't forget that I have a little bit more wiggle room with what I eat, because I've got so much muscle. I've been doing this for over 20 years, so I got a little bit more flexibility with my food choices, to where it's if a newbie starts out, you need to get there first. You need to get the muscle and get that metabolism, revving up. That way you know that you do got a little bit more flexibility.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And another thing I tell people is like, especially when I give out like a meal plan or some sort of nutritional guidance, it's like, this is not like cut and dry. Yeah. Essentially what I want you to do with this is look at it as like a template and figure out how to like literally drag and drop different sources of foods in different places. And that's how I feel about, you know, when it comes to social media and posting the things that I eat in a day. Like I can be really flexible with my diet. If I realistically posted what I ate in a day, the fact that people take it so seriously and think that they have to eat that literally like exact same thing, like what's working for me is not going to work for you, just like what's working for you won't work for so and so. So it's really all a matter of like figuring out what works for you. But as you build more muscle and as you get farther and farther into this, because remember, there's no destination. This is forever. So as you do it more, you can be more lenient with your diet, but you know, just trying to be focusing on that calorie goal and the protein goal will get you there.
For sure. Yep. You gotta find something that you can stay consistent with. That's the biggest thing. It's like figure out what's 2 or 3 breakfast options that you love and rotate them out, or do it week to week. Like the more simple you keep it, the easier that's going to make your grocery list.
That's exactly what I was about to say next. Is people, we've talked about this. People hate on the chicken, rice, and broccoli, but people do it because it's easy.
It's easy.
Single ingredient, very easy.
Yeah, and then like you can change up the flavors with just like some of the maybe the seasonings and the sauces you use. Like like would I want to eat just plain chicken, broccoli, and rice every week? I mean, I could, but I typically will rotate out different sauces made by Kinder's or G. Hughes, maybe some different seasonings. Sometimes it's just salt and pepper, but sometimes it's ketchup, man. I'm a weirdo. I put ketchup on everything.
So, hey, a lot of people do.
Mustard, hot sauce. So, like, I just change up my sauces. But, yeah, like, for people that want all this variety and they're scrolling Pinterest and TikTok and wanting to try new recipes like every day, it's going to be a little complicated in the beginning of your journey. Now, maybe later on, like once you get down the road and get your reach some weight loss goals, you can afford to play around a little bit more. But in the beginning, you need to keep it pretty consistent.
As you get seasoned yourself, you will get to where you get better and better. So practice makes perfect. Just keep at it. But a really great way to offer, some versatility in the beginning when it comes to protein specifically is to season it differently. To use, there are so many different dry seasonings out there you can use, and dry seasonings are really great for chicken. They work great with chicken. You can throw a little bit of olive oil in there for a little bit of extra healthy fats, or not. It works great either way. But that's a really great way to not feel like you have to overcomplicate it with like a million ingredient recipe every week. Instead, just try to focus on switching up your seasonings. Or, McCormick's makes a lot. There's a lot to choose from, and seasonings are a really great way to just make it super easy.
Yeah, so like I know we talk, and we're going to continue talking about meals and some of our favorite stuff, but like I think what a lot of people don't cover, and this is where a lot of people get confused, is how do you, especially if you don't have any experience in the kitchen, like if you just literally went your whole life just ordering fast food and you're like, okay, this is my first time going to the grocery store buying a pack of chicken breast, like what is your methods on cooking that chicken breast? Do you do it in the oven? Do you do an air fryer? Do you cut it up in little chunks? Katie, what do you do?
I would be petrified if I was just starting out. Thankfully, I grew up like liking to cook, but I can imagine like how overwhelming it is to start this brand new and just totally green. I would be petrified. This is terrifying.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes people would get value out of like I know I can't do it to everybody in the world, but like taking like people on like little grocery store tours, or like doing more like actual cooking videos.
Yes.
Like, hey, this is how you cook chicken breast to where it tastes decent, because you can overcook chicken, and trust me, that's no fun. I'm actually eating on overdone chicken right now. I forgot to set a timer, and I kept chicken breast in the oven for like almost 2 hours,
like hockey pucks now.
Yeah. And like last night I had to eat such small little bites because
you had so much ketchup.
Yes, it was drowning in ketchup just to get it down. I'm like, I can't waste this meat. But yeah, don't over. So I even still jack it up. So I can't imagine a new person.
Exactly. I still make mistakes in the kitchen. I've been doing this for a decade and a half, right? But something I actually am offering to one of my clients who has now become like a really good friend of mine, Shelly. She is actually trying to come over to my house to meal prep with me. And what I told her is I'll come up with the recipes and stuff. I'll send you a grocery list. You come and practice with me. And I think that would be really cool to do. Obviously, I have to do it with people who are on a friend basis, but you know, I think that's what most people struggle with is the eating. Yeah. So to answer your question, what I love to do with my chicken to really, really simplify it for myself is to put it in the air fryer.
Okay.
So typically what I'll do is I'll go ahead and when it's raw, weigh it out, cut it up into bite-sized pieces. Fun fact, if you get a pound of chicken, you get 4 meals. You get 4 ounces of chicken per meal.
I'm glad you said that because another question I get too is, or I see a common struggle is people in the beginning will have to take multiple trips to the grocery store because they didn't buy enough the first trip.
Simplify it for yourself. If you buy 1 pound of chicken, that is 4 meals at 4 ounces of chicken per meal. Don't even weigh it. Like there's no reason. Eyeball it. So what I'll do is I'll get a pound of chicken. I'll dice it up, make it simple for myself. Dice it up raw.
Divide it into
I
4,
will, I'll season it with dry seasoning. Maybe let it marinate in the fridge for no longer than an hour, and then I'll throw it in the air fryer. For everybody's air fryers are different, but typically I'm not looking at more than 10 minutes to cook.
Don't take long.
Like I could probably do a pound of chicken in 10 minutes in my air fryer, and all I did was season it, dice it up, and put it in the air fryer.
Yeah, it don't take long. Like,
and that's when really, I don't know if you do the air fryer a lot, but the air fryer works really great with chicken and it keeps it very moist. Yeah, chicken breasts are naturally just hard to cook. They lose a lot of their moisture. So the air fryer really helps with the chicken breast, like dryness. It's really good.
So if I'm like in a hurry, like I'll just do the lazy way, old school way. I'll just literally take the chicken breast out of the package and maybe just cut some slits in them, especially with their big old jokers, just so the heat can get in there better.
Yeah.
And literally kind of spray a glass dish a little bit and put it in the oven for like at 350 for like, my goal is like 45 minutes, and then I'll check it. I'll put a little thermometer in it.
Yeah.
And ideally, like, you don't want to overdo it. And I can usually keep the chicken breast pretty moist, and sometimes I'll actually pull it a little bit early because it's still gonna keep kind of cooking. And then, plus, you got to remember you're going to microwave it too a lot of times when you're heating it up.
Yes. Let it rest a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still going to cook for like 10 more minutes after you pull it out of the oven.
So I'll do that. But I agree with the air fryer. We use the heck out of our air fryer, so much so that we actually had to buy 2. We have a his and hers.
It's like dual sinks, you know, what is it called?
Yeah.
The Jack and Jill sinks. You guys have Jack and Jill air fryers.
Air fryers, yes. So we were fighting over that one air fryer for so long, and we was like, we got to buy another one. So
another tip with chicken is to make it all the same size. So like that's why I dice mine up. It'll cook more evenly that way. True. So if you get a big old chicken breast and then you have another one that's a lot smaller, which happens often, make them like even as far as like size goes, so they'll cook more evenly. A lot of the time I'll butterfly mine. Like you said, you cut slits, I'll butterfly mine. That's a really great way to make sure they're all like the same like size. Maybe not necessarily pound for pound or gram for gram, but like if visually they look around the same size, they'll cook around the same times. So if you have a big old piece of chicken and a little piece of chicken, they're going to cook at entirely different rates. You're going to end up with a hockey puck and then one that's not done enough.
Right. So air fryer is a great tool for that. And then other than that, the only other method that I use sometimes, and it's super easy, I don't know why I don't do it more often, is the crock pot or slow cooker. I'll put 4 or 5, no, not even that much. I'm sorry, like 3 chicken breasts and cook it on low for like 6 to 8 hours. And then after it's finished, man, you can take 2 forks and it just shreds apart. And that's really fun for like, if you want to make like your own homemade like chicken salad.
Yeah, or buffalo chicken.
Buffalo chicken, yes.
So it's very versatile. Again, another way to change up something you already know how to do. Like you can make some crock pot chicken. You can flavor it in different ways.
Yes.
There's an example right there.
And that's actually on my list here. 2 of my favorite things to make with shredded chicken is, like you just said, I'll take some like once the shredded chicken is made and I got kind of the juices strained off, and you're just left with this nice tender shredded chicken. It's moist. What I'll do is I'll put like some cottage cheese or Greek yogurt in a blender, and then pour in some like Frank's buffalo sauce, and then you add all that to the chicken mix and just stir it up real good. And you have your own buffalo chicken mix. You throw it on wraps, salads, dips.
It's almost lunchtime. I should have got me a medium sized smoothie this morning.
Gosh, yeah.
But yes, I agree. I also, rest in peace, my nanny, she passed down a stand mixer that is very nice stand mixer.
Man.
I will do that with my chicken as well. So to shred my chicken, I'll throw it all in that stand mixer and just whip it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it shreds it so nicely. It's perfect for chicken salad if you like the really, really like small pieces of chicken salad. I don't like big chunky pieces of chicken in my chicken salad. I like really thin pieces, and that works well. So I'll throw in even a little bit of mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I like doing Dijon mustard. I love raisins, and then dill pickle relish. Oh, that's so good. It's so good.
So I think the reason we're like focusing so much on like chicken is because it really is like the best meat, chicken breast, that you can like get creative with to keep the fat low and just straight up protein source.
And it's very easy, it's always an easy one to work with, but if I ever get tired of doing chicken breasts, I'll do chicken thighs.
More flavor, just with higher fat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about having muscle mass on me and eating my protein for all these years is I can eat a little bit more. Right. I can afford a little bit of chicken thighs. Mark and I have been doing a lot of like lasagna type stuff with ricotta cheese, and I mean I can be flexible in that way.
For sure.
It's not a lot of ricotta cheese, but I do like that ricotta cheese. But we do a lot of pasta type dishes lately. He likes the pasta, but I'm potatoes all day, chicken and potatoes, chicken thighs and potatoes.
For sure. And that's the thing is like people are like, potatoes, aren't they like so high carb and that's just going to turn to fat? Like not like sweet potatoes, red potatoes, just the regular white potatoes. Like, man, sometimes we boil them. Sometimes I'll slice them up and put them in the air fryer, make my own oven fries. Like, again,
very versatile ingredient. But potatoes, if you look at the quantity you can eat for the calories, they're actually not very high calorie either. No. But again, that's just another way to add versatility to your meals, and especially with chicken and potatoes go really well together. But I do like doing chicken thighs every now and then. The thing about eating things with more fat content is that you're going to get less protein per gram. Yep. So like if you're chicken breast, you're looking at about 30 grams of protein, whereas chicken thighs, you're looking at less protein than that because there's more fat.
Yes.
And typically the chicken breast is going to be lower calorie, whereas chicken thighs, 4-ounce serving, I think it's 180 calories. Chicken breast is about 120, 110, 120 usually.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and then earlier you were talking about adding a little bit of mayonnaise to your to make your own homemade chicken salad. Well, you can add Greek yogurt.
Yes,
and I've made my own chicken salad with Greek yogurt and add some like either raisins or dried cranberries.
I love dried fruit so much.
Pecans, nuts, like little pieces. Don't get too carried away because the nuts, the fat source. But man, you can make some really good. Put some salt and pepper in there, and you can make like a really big old like tub of just chicken salad. And like I said, put that on a wrap. Use it as a dip, make a sandwich with it with some the dojoy bread that I just let you try.
I was thinking about that before I drove over here today. I was like, we need to talk about the dojoy bread because I feel like that's something people struggle with too, is like the breads, and they really want to eat these grains. If you can, not necessarily grains, they want to eat the white breads and the really processed pasta. If you can go for more grains, you'll get more protein per gram of the bread. Don Joy, is it Dojoy? Dojoy. 14 grams of protein?
7 grams of protein per slice. So yeah, essentially you can get 14 for a sandwich.
Per sandwich. Yeah. Throw you a little bit of meat on there, deli meat on there, and there you go. That's a great meal. Quest protein chips. Make it feasible for yourself. Yeah. You get a lot of protein out of that right there.
I got a lot of busy like construction worker type males that just like the simplicity of like a sandwich. So
I love a good sandwich.
They've been coming by even before the dojoy bread. They would just make it on like Dave's Killer bread, the thin slice bread. Put 4 or 5 slices of like boar's head deli meat, a slice of like 2% cheese, and you can get 25, 30 grams of protein out of a sandwich. And like you said, throw in a bag of Quest chips, you're going to be 50 plus.
Yeah, and if you do the dojoy bread,
you're going to be crazy.
Even if you did like just a whole grain source of bread, you're looking at about 4 to 6 grams of protein per serving, maybe even per slice. So that'd be 12 if you had 2 slices on a sandwich.
Yep.
Where you made the sandwich. The bread is the sandwich.
Yes, that's it. That's it. And I think a lot of people, if they would just kind of focus on like front loading their protein, like You know, I see a lot of people they'll do something like quick for breakfast, like they'll do a protein coffee. Yeah, that's great. And then they'll kind of skip lunch or, you know, because they're busy, or eat like a protein bar for lunch. But then when they get off, they're really snacky.
This has happened to me recently.
Raging the cabinets, you know, they're doing what I do sometimes, and that's like nibbling on the food that while your dinner's cooking.
Yeah,
I'll consume 300 calories just by nibbling while my dinner's cooking. It don't make no sense.
Grazing. That's what we call it.
I'll literally take the time to weigh out my dinner, right? But I won't count the snacks that I'm nibbling. What kind of sense does that make?
I feel like everyone who has been in fitness for a little while can relate so hard to that right now. I've actually been in this weird cycle with my eating. Thankfully, it seems to be getting a little easier, you know, as I develop a better routine. But I would go for hours, like, and not eat anything. And then I would wonder why I was binge eating at night. It's because I had nothing until 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, that's just not sustainable.
Yeah, and I get like...
But it happens to the best of us. That's just just an example. Like, you know, we've been in this for a long time. It still happens to us.
Yeah, because I get super busy and sometimes I don't get to eat. But yeah, I can feel it later. It catches up, those cravings. So, and I get the whole, you know, you hear so many people say, I'm not a breakfast person, and, you know, I just don't have an appetite in the morning. Like, you can push through that. Come on, we're not like...
I think it just, again, takes practice.
Yeah.
Your body will, you know, get used to that routine.
Yeah.
You just have to give it some time. But I tell all my clients that there are many different reasons to do many different things in this world. So if you're somebody who doesn't like breakfast, you don't necessarily have to eat breakfast. I say you probably should eat a good breakfast. But if you're somebody who doesn't like breakfast, you literally, from a fat loss perspective, could eat every single calorie you need in one setting.
Yeah, you could.
And if you were in a deficit that day, over time, you would lose weight. That's not recommended by any means. No, we want to eat multiple meals a day from the satisfied standpoint.
Yeah, and you go back.
What's that word? Say it. Satiated.
Satiation.
Satiation.
Satiety. Talking about the potatoes. Potatoes, if you look up the satiety index on Google, potatoes are off the chart. So,
I love potatoes. Yes. I eat potatoes sometimes twice a day. Sometimes that's like I'll have russet potatoes and sweet potatoes in the same day. Yeah. And you know what? That works for me. So it might not work for you. Yeah. But it works for me.
And back on that same phrase I said earlier, if you got people that say, I'm just not a breakfast person. Okay. I'm real big on self-talk. Okay. Well, you're not a breakfast person, and this is going to sound mean, but you're a person that's sitting there on the couch at night binging ice cream person.
Yes.
Which person would you rather be?
And you probably would not binge on the ice cream if you ate breakfast. Right. You know, over time.
So think about what you're saying. I'm not a breakfast person, but what are you doing in the evenings?
But you eating sausages and cheese links and stuff like that at the end of the night. Yeah. I think it just takes a little bit of intention and practice. But if you're not somebody, like I have one client that's just like, she's gung-ho, like I just don't like breakfast. And I'm like, that's okay. Yeah. If you could have something that doesn't feel so big, like that's where the supplementation part comes in. Have you a core power, have you a couple rice cakes, or have a little bit of grits, or, you know, oatmeal, whatever works, but make it smaller and simplify it for yourself. Don't feel like because you can't have the egg whites and the, you know, the perfect breakfast that you can't do something in place of that makes sense and works for you.
Right. And what is your opinion on, like, what do you think the perfect balance of like real food versus like supplements or shakes or protein bars should be? Because like that plays into effect too, like as far as appetite and hunger cues. Like I think there's a higher satiety factor when you eat, you know, 30 or 40 grams of protein from like real food versus a Quest bar or a shake.
Yeah.
You know, so like you got to be careful, because like if you do have those tendencies of binging, you know, until you get your metabolism repaired and, you know, get a better relationship with food, I think you do need to focus on more of the higher volume, higher protein versus, you know, yes, there's a time and place for a protein bar, but how do you balance that, Katie?
Let me put it to you this way. The cleaner the food is that you eat, the more of the food you can eat. Yeah. So if you're eating like a grapes, for example, 300 calories for 1 pound. 1 pound. Okay, that's an excessive amount of grapes. Yeah. But in that perspective and in that regard, that's a lot of food, a large quantity of food for very little calories. So the cleaner your diet is, the larger the quantity of the food is that you can eat.
Yeah.
But from that perspective too, I would say 80% ish
Yep.
a day is really, really great. And in today's world, it is really hard to do even that.
I know, man.
But I also think about it like this. If you're somebody who struggles with binging, it might not be the best idea. But like if you can moderate and have that serving size of Oreos at the end of the night, and that's what kept you on track to do good with the 80% that day, have the Oreos.
True. Yeah. Like that's true. Like if you could have like 75, 80% of like your protein from like really good food sources, single ingredient foods, and you hit your macros and you got your movement in, and if you wanted to work in some Oreos every night, that's a perfect balance in my opinion. Like
that's better. So what would happen with me if I tried to just, moderate them to a night or however many serving size is? Typically what I do is binge eat because it's so good. It's yummy. I want all the Oreos. But to have just those two a night versus binge eating an entire pack every 4 days, you're going to do a lot better, especially from a calorie perspective, especially because it's really generally what you're doing over the course of an entire week.
Yeah.
So every 4 days, you're binge eating a whole pack of Oreos versus just having 6 every few days.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's actually less food you're eating.
And it kind of reminds me of the whole, you have those people that say, I don't understand what's going on. I can't lose weight. I'm only eating 1,200 calories a day. That's true.
Until every fourth day rolls around and you're binge eating
3,000.
everything in your pantry, even if it is healthy or high protein, you're still exceeding your calories by an excessive amount every fourth day.
Yes, and that's exactly what's going on. Like if trust me, if somebody was to kidnap you and put you in a a prison cell and only feed you 1,000 or 1,200 calories a day, you would lose some weight.
Oh, you would know it. You would know it. Give it like 4 weeks of that, and you would be dwindled down and very malnourished.
Yeah, I get the whole eating less can slow down your metabolism, because if you're not even eating enough to sustain your BMR, it's probably you're not gonna have the energy and the motivation to go do extra things like walk and stuff like that. So it can play a role, but yes, the whole. If you're telling yourself, you're telling others and coaches like me and Katie that you're only eating 1,200 calories a day and you can't lose weight, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like as she said, every fourth day you're binging. And
that used to be me. Yeah. So I know how it feels, and it feels like you're doing everything right when in actuality you're not.
No, it's just not consistent long enough.
I think we think about things too far ahead.
Yeah.
Like way far out. Like I feel like for me, when I get into those ruts like that where I just can't seem to I'm thinking too far out. I need to rope it back in and literally focus on what's in front of me. So that helps me a lot in those aspects.
Yeah. So just to kind of go down my list here of what a perfect day looks like for me. And like I said earlier, this just because it works for me don't mean I'm saying you need to do it. But this is if I could put everything every day on repeat, I would get up and eat some eggs, 1 or 2 whole eggs with some egg whites. I would do a Thomas English muffin. I would put some sugar-free grape jelly on there, maybe have some blueberries, maybe a little bit of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, and let that be a power breakfast start off the day with 50 grams of protein right there off the rip.
You can't beat starting your day like that either. It's really good for your brain to start with that many carbs as well, and you're starting the day with a lot of protein. So there you just knocked out 50 grams of protein.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a third of the way there if you're me.
I know.
Just with breakfast. So I mean, that's a win right there. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day and probably my highest calorie meal of the day. I do overnight oats. I'm that person. I've done it for years at this point, and I will never change it because it works so good. I love them. You can start with a base recipe of just the oats and the milk and whatever protein powder. They're so versatile. Again, you have a base recipe that you can change fruits and nuts and
you can
nut
add
butters.
In so many things like the little small things like the chia seed, the flax seed, to work in more micronutrients. You can really get in a lot of nutrition through, like you said, overnight oats.
I do that a lot with the blueberries and then some sort of nut butter or almond, some sort of fat in that way. Greek yogurt. So I'm probably getting about 50 grams of protein from my breakfast as well.
and then we'll move on to lunch. And I like what we're doing. I'll say what I do, and you say what you do usually for lunch.
Yeah.
That's great. So like for lunch, in a perfect world, like if I could do this every day, I do this most time, is like I can make like sweet potato bites, and like either do ground beef or ground turkey, and make like a taco bowl. Like I'll do like lettuce, I'll do the Greek yogurt is like the sour cream, some pico, some jalapenos, and make like a roasted sweet potato bite, ground turkey, like taco bowl. And sometimes I'll even put some Quest chips, the taco Quest chips in there, and either dip them or crumble them up.
I laugh because like that's very similar to what I do, but I've been switching things up recently. But you can't go wrong with the Quest chips, because there again, you've had a very, very clean, balanced meal, and those little Quest chips on top of that really just made it for you. Yeah. That makes it easy for you to stick to it. And you know, that entire meal was pretty clean. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really great way to stay on track to eat that lunch and make it really good for yourself.
Get that crunch fix in, man.
Oh,
I love my crunch.
I've been switching things up for myself, because I'm somebody who does things and hyperfixates on things for months on end, and then I burn myself out. So this week I also did sweet potatoes. I love potatoes. Sweet potatoes are so good. Again, a really versatile carb. I did roasted red peppers with roasted sweet potatoes. Yeah. I've been getting more in depth with my recipes, but some chicken thighs actually that I seared and then popped in the oven, and I did some roasted chickpeas too. So it gave me a little bit more crunch. Yes. Than most of the stuff, I'm not going to lie, that I eat is pretty mushy. I like it, but I needed something a little different texture.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. And then for dinners, man, I pretty much eat the same thing every night. Me and Allie do. We're like robots. Like, I come home and I'll drop 2 or 3 potatoes in a little potato slicer. I ordered it off Amazon. You just drop a potato in, pull a handle, and it spits out like oven fries.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll literally go ahead and just place those on the air fryer tray, spray them with a little bit of avocado oil, salt them with some Redmond's real salt, and then in the air fryer they go at 400 degrees for like, total time is probably around 20, 23 minutes, but around the halfway point, I'll kind of shake them.
You're speaking my language right now. That sounds delicious.
So crispy oven fries out of the just regular white potatoes. Sometimes we do red potatoes, and then I'll either take my chicken that I've already cooked that week, you know, it's in the fridge. I'll take chicken or ground beef and just go ahead and weigh it out, heat it up, and have and then some kind of green, whether it's asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and then just have like that, the oven fries, the chicken, the meat, and the greens every night. Like I switch up the sauces.
It's just so classic, and it works well, you know, and that's almost like another thing I cover in the consultations is the concept of buffet prep. So that's kind of like that. So you had the meats to grab already.
Already cooked.
All you had to do was do the potatoes, and potatoes don't take any time at all. Yeah. But you have multiple sources of proteins to choose from that night, you know, so it kind of made it easy to eat what you wanted to, not feel like you were limited to something you didn't necessarily want to have that night.
Yeah. And then every every Friday night or every other Friday night, I'll go grab a pack of like Dave's Killer Buns. And do my own hamburger and fries. Like, you know, a Dave's Killer Bun, some kind of like 94, 96 lean ground beef patty, throw on like some fat-free or 2% sliced cheddar cheese, throw some pickles or tomato in there, make like a really good hamburger, have your oven fries, the ketchup.
And look, you just saved thousands of calories versus going to Wendy's.
Yes. So like that same burger and fries would be like over 2,000 calories from a restaurant. And I was like, I think mine is like around 850.
And yours probably made you feel better the next day too, didn't it?
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed, like I said, I really enjoy doing russet potatoes. I like doing smashed potatoes. So something you can do is just boil your potatoes, and then like, as they're done, you can smash them onto a sheet pan and pop them in the oven. Cool thing is you can throw your protein on there with it. Right. So they roast at the same time. Yeah. That's essentially what I'll do. And then another really simple thing I like to do to get a lot of protein is a sloppy Joe bowl. I'll do those with potatoes and McCormick's. Maybe not McCormick's. I'm trying to think of who it is, but there is a brand out there that does a seasoning mix for sloppy Joes.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's for a pound of meat. So again, you get you a pound, you get you the seasoning mix, and you don't even have to weigh it. You just eyeball it out between 4 meals. Yeah. Makes it so easy.
And then it's kind of falls in the same line as making like just your homemade chili. Like you can get the French's seasoning, and then just put some beans in there, and then the ground beef and the diced tomatoes, and make you a big old batch of chili.
That is one of the easiest ways to get a ton of protein.
Yes.
Beans. Add beans to everything you eat.
Yeah.
The protein and fiber combination, lethal, but you are going to get so much protein out of that. And beans, I really love doing kidney beans from scratch. They're really easy, but they have, I think it's like 8 grams of protein for 35 grams. Like
crazy.
It's really good. So then you add chicken in on top of that. Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, how many is that? You're looking almost 30 right there, 30 grams, depending on the chicken that you use.
Yeah.
I also really like breakfast too. So, doing, adding protein powder to things like smoothies and things like that. Just, I like to make dips out of Greek yogurt and protein powder.
I love that.
Mixed together. A rule of thumb for me though is to get a protein powder that's very versatile, easy to mix into things. Like I would probably not go for a very, very specific flavor protein.
No.
I would more so go for like a vanilla or chocolate because I like to make
universal.
cereal. Cereal, whole grain cereal with some Fairlife milk and protein.
Perfect.
That's upwards of 50 grams right there.
Yep.
Delicious.
I've done that before too. I've went through cycles of eating, like just a big bowl of protein cereal.
I miss that. I've learned about the gluten and wheat issues that I have, right?
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoyed my shredded wheat cereals because I really like frosted mini wheats. So what I would do is get the shredded wheat cereal, mix some protein in with some almond milk, and put whatever, again, like the oats, fruit.
Love that.
Just like the oats, very versatile. You can put fruit, even a dollop of Greek yogurt on top if you want even more protein.
Yeah.
Nuts, things like that.
Yeah, and besides these anchor meals that we talked about, I did write down some of my other favorite things and maybe have in between that is like you mentioned earlier, the Fairlife shakes.
Beef jerky,
the Ratio and Oikos yogurt cups.
I love Oikos Greek yogurt. Again,
awesome.
versatile, can add it to anything. You get unflavored, you can make, like you said, the sour cream type effect.
Yeah.
We talked about seeds, nuts, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. Those are also really great fats and really essential to your hormone health and your brain health. Canned tuna.
Oh gosh, I forget about that.
Canned chicken. I mean, if you're in a pinch,
dude,
that is easy. Again, throw it in the stand mixer with some mayonnaise and cranberries and pecans, and you have a chicken salad.
Literally just 2 days ago, I was scrounging for something quick to eat. I found in my office, two packs of tuna, the packs that it's just you rip open. They don't have the water.
Shelf life was a long time, so they're probably still great.
17 grams of protein per pack. So I did 2 of them. I had some little mini guacamole cups in the fridge. So what I did, I had some rice cakes, right? So I did 2 rice cakes. I mixed up the avocado and the tuna and spread it on the 2 rice cakes. It was like 40 grams of protein in less than 400 calories out of a crispy rice cake avocado tuna.
When you say it out loud, it's crazy the things that we do to get some snacks and some protein. That actually sounds really good though. I bet the crunch with the smoothness of the avocado. Yeah. Oh man, I bet I would eat that. I salted it.
I put some pink salt on there. So that was really good. That's what we're talking about. Just little efforts like that. Even if you do a lot of traveling or have an office job where you can't really break loose, keep some rice cakes, keep some tuna packs.
Constantly be looking for solutions for your lifestyle.
Yeah, put a little effort in there. I get we're all busy, and yes, you can keep playing in this cycle of the victim and I don't have time. But dude, come on, take some responsibility. I tell these guys that do a lot of driving. I get it. I used to drive a lot for a living. I kept a big ass box in my passenger seat of rice cakes, tuna pouches, apples.
If it means something to you and it's important enough, you'll find a way. You'll make a way to do it. Yeah. But there are so many solutions out there, especially this day and time. There are so many solutions. I'm looking at some 100-calorie packs of Emerald nuts up there right now. I'm guaranteeing you get 8 grams of protein out of one of those.
Yeah, when I first started, when I was 18, 19 years old in my weight loss journey, I was 250 pounds, and I knew the eggs were good. I loved oatmeal. So one of the things that I did every morning, and this is where I talk about that word consistency, find something you enjoy and just put it on repeat. There's a lot of power in that. I would get up at home, still lived at home, and cook me 2 or 3 whole eggs, do a cup of egg whites. While that was cooking on medium heat, I would cook some just regular oats, put all that in a bowl and then mix it up and then put sugar-free maple syrup. And I would wrap that whole bowl in aluminum foil and take that to the gym with me. I drove a 1983 Jeep CJ7 and I would go to the Rome Health Spa, work out, right? Come back to my Jeep and that stuff would still be warm.
Was that the one that had the floor?
Yeah, metal floorboard, had holes in it and stuff like that. Because one time my drive shaft came loose when I was going down the highway and it slung around and it ripped a hole in the floor.
And there went your lunch.
Yeah, so like I drove around from ages 16 to like 22 with a gash in my floorboard. I could just see the road.
Oh my gosh.
Like that, where a drive shaft came out. But yeah, like
solutions,
again, man.
Finding
like,
solutions for
and
yourself.
I even tell like some of my clients now, like they want to like get up and they don't want to like spend time cooking at home because of whatever reason. They don't want to get up early or the family's asleep in the bedroom next door and they don't want to make a bunch of noises. Like I get it, but like make it the night before.
Yeah.
Make up the egg and oatmeal concoction, put it in a bowl, heat it up at a gas station microwave at your office, like figure it out, man. Like I think we're living such a time where we've lost that go-getness.
Yeah, it's
figuring it out. We got so consumed with like the instant gratification of like DoorDash and fast food. Now when people have to figure it out, they're like, what do I do?
Yeah, you're just going to give up on it because the first thing you tried didn't work. That's the thing about this is I'm still learning. I'm still practicing. Yeah. I'm still making mistakes with meal prep a decade and a half later.
Yeah.
So you're never going to get comfortable with a gym if you don't go. You're never going to get comfortable with that environment if you don't go. Same for your food. Yeah. You're never going to get better at meal prepping or eating clean or whatever unless you find the solutions for yourself. But just because one thing goes wrong, there are so many other things you can try.
Yeah.
Don't let that one thing in the beginning be the reason why you give up on it. Just like don't let the scale not moving be the reason you give up on your journey in general. But, just finding the solutions. Yeah. Don't ever stop the pursuit of solutions.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to find solutions for myself. My taste buds change. I like tomatoes a lot now.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
And I like things that I used to not like. I mean, just always be trying to find solutions for yourself.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, this was a good episode.
We like to talk.
Bring you an episode packed with all the protein tips, and I think we did just that.
Yeah, I wanted to mention too what one of my friends at the gym told me this morning was about. He likes to keep. I don't know what he does for work, but he mentioned keeping a bunch of hard-boiled eggs,
there you go.
So he'll grab those with packs of tuna, the jalapeno con, he said, and he'll mix those together, and that's how he will get his protein in a pinch.
Yeah, eggs are so expensive now, so you might want to boil your own. but
for me,
you can boil your own or buy them. Buy a big bag worth of boiled eggs.
Oh yeah, and then so that's just an example of him finding solutions because I never in a million years would think of eating that. That does not sound the best to me, but it works for him.
It's true.
At the end of the night, if I'm looking for more protein, we'll make some protein powder with some Oikos, and then I'll put like even a Quaker rice cake. It's like a cheesecake.
Yeah, and
delish. Even granola, the protein granola.
Yes.
Just wait until you're gonna eat it, or otherwise it'll be soggy.
Most of my bedtime like treats is like a ratio yogurt cup or the Dannon Light and Fit or Oikos, and I'll put like a little bit of Fiber One cereal in there for that crunch, and you get a lot of fiber too.
We're one and the same because that's identical.
And then sometimes I'll put like a little bit of chocolate chips. So you get this crunchy little chocolate chip morsels in this yogurt, high protein, like high fiber snack before bed every night.
If you make it 70% cocoa, then you get a lot of really great healthy fats out of that. But I'm the same way. I like to have my Greek yogurt at night. It's a really great way to feel like you're getting like a really indulgent, wrong, terrible snack, but it's actually very nutritious and good for you. And again, first of all, you can add fruit, nuts, nut butters, whatever you want.
True, you're
Makes
right.
it easy.
You're right. Sometimes I'll put a little PB Fit powder in there, or just drizzle some real peanut butter.
I do that. I'll mix peanut butter and honey together. I'll have a serving, like half a serving of peanut butter and half a serving of honey in the morning, and I have half a serving and half a serving in the evening. So
love it.
One full serving a day, because it is very disappointing what a serving size of peanut butter is. But
truly measured out, it's very disappointing. Yes. Well, awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on, Kati. And we're actually going to get in here more often and start dropping some little episodes like this more frequently, little topics that we're passionate about. And like I said, we're going to drop some descriptions in this podcast episode for the eVolt scan and all our contact information. And appreciate you tuning in. You got anything else, Kati? You good?
I think essentially we're just going to try to bring the tips, tricks, and solutions and just things that have worked for us and things that we know help people out over the next few weeks or however long, whatever happens. But I always love being here, so I'm looking forward to what's coming in the future for us, and thank you for having me.
All right. Well, guys, we'll see y'all next time.